Hello and welcome to episode 259 of the Chillsville podcast. It's a pleasure today to be joined by Jessica Whipple. Here's a bit about Jessica. She writes for adults and children from her home in eastern Pennsylvania. Her poetry has been published recently in Funicular, Door is Ajar, and Green Ink Poetry, and online at Whale Road Review, Anti-Heroin Chic, and Pine Hills Review. Her poem, Broken Strings, has been nominated for a 2023 Pushcart Prize in Poetry. She has published two children's picture books in 2023. The first is called Enough Is, and that's from Tilbury House, illustrated by Nicole Wong, and I Think a Lot from Free Spirit Publishing, illustrated by Josée Bisaillon. To read more of Jessica's work or to learn about her books, including praise and reviews, peruse her website or follow her on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, at Jessica Whipple 17. That's Jessica, capital Whipple 17. And looking for her website, looking for her name online, her last name is spelled Whipple. Good afternoon. How are you today?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Um, The Italian in me is a little bit embarrassed. Funicular.
Funicular.
Okay, like that famous song, Funicular. Yeah. If you don't
I don't
know
know
the
that
song, look
song.
it up. You know the song.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I said famous song. I'm not doing it justice. You'll recognize the beat. But anyway,
Okay.
um, the it's a pleasure to talk to you. Usually I end with the parts about the contact info and social media info, but now would be a good time. Like, what are some good places to buy your books? Obviously, they're available anywhere you can get books, but any particular bookstores maybe you want to shout out?
I always tell people to use their indie bookstores. You can go on your bookstore website and search for it. If they don't have it on shelf, you can, they'll fulfill it via any of their major warehouses.
Hmm.
In Pennsylvania, I really love Aaron's Books. I love Nook Books. Randomly I'll get people tagging me on Instagram having found the books that I have written in, I don't know, Kentucky or
Yeah.
Washington State. So
Okay.
really anywhere books are sold. Um, yeah, and certainly, Amazon and those places. But I am an advocate for indie bookshops.
Okay. And just having talked to you a bit online and following you, I'm guessing, but I don't want to, put words in your mouth, but I'm guessing that you're open to like school visits and that kind of thing.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay.
I'm planning 2024 and 2025 now. Where I don't
Okay.
think I have anything coming up in 2024, but 25 is getting a little busy.
Yeah. Okay. So you asked for what, like $1 million a visit or
Oh
so?
yeah.
Okay.
And a
Starting at
catered lunch.
catered lunch. Okay. I've heard you're kind of like Mariah Carey with her requests.
Yeah.
Backstage. Okay. No, but you could be reached via email from your website. Would that be the best way to do that for school
Yep.
visits?
Yep, definitely.
Right.
And I have some introductory information on the website about those, but I'm, flexible and willing to work with you on, I
Okay.
can do virtual visits, things like that. So
Right.
not
Right.
limited to in person.
Oh, that's great. It's tough, as an English teacher at the high school level, like Common Core and such, which is a whole different situation, but like, there's some really good things that we're teaching, but it's kind of moved away from the creative writing. So I would love to find a way to get that involved, to get students to be able to hear from someone like you. So we'll make that
I
happen. I'm not just asking for everyone, I'm asking for myself too.
Oh, thanks. Well, check out the website. There's a couple talks for high school students. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it, to hopefully having the students hear from you. I look forward to talking to you today. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Language life growing up, like, were you the kid at the library all the time? Were books all over the place at home? Like, how were books and language treated in your household?
That's an interesting question. I like it. I am still not a huge reader, and it's like I'm ashamed to say it because shouldn't
Ah,
I be this amazing reader that, has books piled by her bed? I have trouble focusing sometimes, so
sure.
it's hard for me to read a lot. I'm not a voracious reader. I'm a very
Mhm.
slow reader. Um, Growing up, yeah, I wouldn't say I had like a crazy drive to read. I would say my daughters definitely have that. They'll
Nice.
walk through the city with a book in front of their face. And I'm like, we're in a parking lot. You
Love it.
cannot walk like that.
Right. I don't want them to get hurt, but I love the idea, the concept behind
Exactly. I'm like, I love that you have that in front of your face and not,
it.
a phone or
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I guess I don't know. I like to read. I love to read then. I like to read now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was encouraged. In school, we had a school library, which you don't have now.
Uh,
I mean, sometimes you do. Public
Sometimes you
schools
do.
do.
Mm,
Some private schools do. Some private schools don't. Some public schools don't.
sure.
But I loved library day. Wednesday was library day, so it was
No
always fun to get new picture books. And
doubt.
still now, I mean, I have we joke, but it's true. I have a line item in the budget for library fines. Um,
Yes, I
being a
know.
person who writes books and reads books, picture books often, um, there's books all over the house, and we often can't find them.
Oh, so true. I feel your pain so much. Yes, it's kind of a good problem to have, problem in quotes to have, but it's also, yeah. Over COVID, the local libraries pretty much said no fines, but then
Yeah.
but then they like Sacramento County where I am, they like partner with, bordering counties and they borrow books. So I did have to pay one, I think $17 fine because we lost the book. And I mean,
Okay.
but they also said, hey, if you find it in 6 months, bring it, get your money back,
Oh, that's nice. That's never
so
been offered to me.
I know, right?
I would
Exactly my
like
point.
my $37 back.
Yes, I know. But if I have to pay 17 or if I dare say for you to pay 37, for all the things we get out of the library, it's worth it, right?
Exactly. I don't
Yeah.
mind at all.
Um, so as you got into like high school and to college, I mean, I don't know, like, I mean, were you studying marine biology? Were you studying English? Like, where did the writer drive kick in?
So I did write poems in high school.
Hmm.
Um, that's probably like if you could look at my life in terms of like where is my writing life,
Hmm.
it was in high school, then it sort of like dried up
Hmm.
and came back 7 years ago or so. In
Yeah.
between, I thought I wasn't ever really going to write again for myself.
Hmm.
But in high school, I was the managing editor of our literary magazine, which was a little
Okay.
bittersweet. Um, so as a freshman, I was one of I think I was the freshman editor, and then just moved up the ranks. And as a senior, the senior is usually the managing editor. So
Hmm.
I did that. Also in high school, Pennsylvania used to have this wonderful program called the Pennsylvania Governor's School,
Okay.
and it was state funded, um, hugely expensive, I'm sure, but they paid for I think it was 10 poets and 10 fiction writers to attend classes, like college level classes on
Uh,
writing for 6 weeks over the summer. And it was fully paid for, room and board for 6 weeks. They had governor's schools in creative writing, they had them in pottery, acting, theater, they even
Dang.
had them in like science.
Hmm.
But the program doesn't exist anymore, sadly.
Ah.
So that was where I grew a lot and
Hmm.
wrote a lot.
Yeah.
That was, I think, my junior year in high school. So that would have been 2001. And then I think it was really only like 2 or 3 years after that that they canceled the program. Just, I mean,
Oh
it's
man.
expensive.
Right.
So it's sad,
Hmm.
but it was wonderful.
Oh,
And so I
cool.
guess that's where a lot of my growth happened. But then I guess um, college, I didn't really write.
Hmm.
Um, After college, I studied advertising and communications, so
Okay.
I kind of thought this is the way I'm going to use what I like and what I've learned. I don't really feel like I have anything to say for myself, but maybe I could work at an ad agency and
Hmm.
write creatively, but within
Yeah.
specific parameters for clients. So
Huh.
I did that for about 4 years. And then, took a break, did some other things, and had kiddos. So that's
Hmm.
kind of what reinvigorated my writing life. I
Right.
totally didn't see it coming. Like, was never expecting to ever write
Huh.
again creatively or, write a poem. It's like, what? I did
Ah.
that already.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. It's never
Yeah,
too late. I mean, and I say never too late. I mean, you're obviously very, very young. It's not like you're in your 70s, but it's never too late. As in, you didn't think it was going to happen, and it came back recently. That's cool. Did
totally unexpected.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure you pulled back into what you'd read when you were younger. Like, can you think of like, so, what we're going to mainly talk about is are your two children's books and then your poetry. Like, I mean, particular poets, particular children's book authors, or just writers in general who have really inspired you?
Um, I really like Julie Fogliano as
Okay.
a picture book author. Her books are poems, and
Mm.
a lot of picture books are. So I'm actually giving a talk about that in Albany in November
Oh, nice.
at the New York State Reading Association.
Uh,
So I'm talking about the ways that picture books and poetry are similar, and the way that you can understand each a little more by understanding the other.
mm.
So I like her work because it's very whimsical and not literal.
Uh-huh.
And I would love to write like her. I also really like Emily Jenkins.
Okay.
Um, I find myself like referring other authors to her, a couple of her books as really good examples of particular forms.
Mm.
And she's funny, she's
Mm.
just really great. Yeah, so those are a couple of my favorites. It's hard, really hard to pick a favorite.
Sure.
Um, it's like who's my favorite lyrical picture book author? It's different
Uh-huh.
than my favorite funny picture book author.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's hard to be funny on the page, right?
it is.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
But I mean, you can expect a lot out of kids. It
That's a
doesn't
good
have
way
to
to
all
put it.
be like silly
That's,
slapstick stuff.
sure, 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 sure. Okay, yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's interesting. Okay, I appreciate that. The so I guess so we'll start with talking about like some of your poetry, if that works for you.
Sure.
Um, one of the so you have a great list on your website, for example, and a lot of them obviously are linked to a lot of the journals that you've been published, which is part of the bio that I read. So it's like again, like how do you pick a favorite? But picked a couple that I thought um, two I think are kind of similar as you pointed out. One is not so much. I'm thinking of forms as well. First one is quoted as a hybrid. It's very prosy, and it's called "This is what I'm thinking at the Container Store."
Hmm.
I wonder if you might read that and we can kind of discuss that one a little bit.
Yeah. Do you want me to say anything about it first or just jump in?
However you like to, if you
I'll
feel
just
like
jump
that.
in.
Yeah. Okay.
Just go completely dry.
Yeah.
Okay. So this ran at Pine Hills Review and it's up at their website right now. This is what I'm thinking at the Container Store. There's a reality where Lego instructions, crumpled like dollar bills, unfurl to crisp life again in sleek plastic pockets, in binders lining bookshelves. A basket in my bedroom holds clothes waiting to be reworn. I gave it a name even. A wear again bin. A name makes a thing important. This is the best I can do. Sometimes it feels like all my problems could be solved if I had places for things. Husband wants a spot for keys. School pickups run on time when I can locate my sunglasses. A thing is important if it has a place. I'm terrible at filing. Bills, coupons, invoices. Life creates endless items to be sorted and categorized. When a thing has a place and a name, it can be found again. I wonder about this. Where do I keep the things I don't want to possess? Once, when I opened the fridge, 15 watts illuminated liminal space. PB&J or mac and cheese. The decision meant nothing. The decision meant everything. For months, I struggled to keep my head above its inky depths. Finding a thing again is like remembering. So I recall this moment often. In my brain, there's a file marked "She was overwhelmed" and a subfolder titled "Lunch." There's also work, disease, God, and others. Like the cardboard box labeled OCD, this file is heavy, taped shut. But I know where it is. It's in the basement, on the narrow shoulder of an overpass, at the end of 2008, the middle of 2010, my fertile 2015. These were the times I relinquished my phone, keys, wallet, before passing through the psych ER's metal detector. I can find this tangle of hard questions, shameful confessions when I need it. I revisit the prayers, apologies, repeated like a leaky faucet, droplets always tracing the same path. Remembering is a way of being ready for next time. I strive for actual organization, but what I really want is tidy thoughts. Truth and impossibility in a mutually exclusive Venn diagram. I can live with a messy toy chest, closet, and junk drawer. When the pipes burst, I don't need an acrylic office caddy. Give me a bucket to catch the flow.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
That last line is, I feel like has a double, triple, quadruple meaning. I love that last line. Give me a
Thanks.
bucket to catch the flow. I wonder how specific you feel like this poem is to like whether you want to talk about like your personal experience about how like I feel like it's so universal, but obviously there are connections to there are allusions to like the psych visit and ideas of being overwhelmed. But I wonder how much you feel like it's specific to certain conditions or how much it's kind of like universal.
Um, that's a neat question. I guess I could answer it by talking about how some people think OCD is about being organized.
Hmm.
So I was trying to get at that, but from a different angle,
Hmm.
because it is kind of like wanting mental organization. Um, and in that way, people with OCD can be very similar.
Hmm.
We all want to know what's what. We want certainty. We want
Hmm.
things to be black and white. We're
Sure.
uncomfortable with things in the middle. But we all have really unique obsessions, and it's not,
Okay.
it's not about being
It's a
clean. I mean,
spectrum.
maybe for some people it is, but
Uh-huh.
um, not always, and certainly not in the majority, I would say.
Okay. Do you feel like people kind of have their ideas or their generalizations that OCD is such like a is one static thing, but you're saying it's like a spectrum, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a spectrum, and it's just really like because it's so you can obsess about anything.
Mm,
Anything can be a dominating fear.
sure.
Um, I've known people who have really outlandish obsessions. Some people have these really existential like, obsessions, like, am
Mm,
I really here?
mm,
What if I'm not here? And that can be really confusing and
uh-huh.
really um, isolating, and it
Yeah.
can make you feel absolutely psychotic. Um,
Hmm.
but so I guess I'm trying to say that it really runs the gamut
Right.
of typical like hand washing obsession to what you would
Mm,
expect um, to something that the first time a person with OCD confesses it to a therapist, they feel this relief, but this fear that they're the only person who's ever thought that. and,
wow.
and really, they're
Wow.
not. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
being in treatment, it's so life giving to be in a circle of people who
Mm,
maybe the fear is different, but the mental games you
uh-huh.
play with yourself are all the same. And it's like, yep, I've thought that very same thing. It's not
Mm,
about, you being afraid you're gonna kill your child. It's about something else completely. But I have done the same mental gymnastics to
sure.
convince myself that the risk is great for whatever thing I'm worried about.
Okay. Wow. I appreciate that explanation. A thing is important if it has a place. That's a great line. The idea of when a thing has a place and a name, it can be found again, which I could see is, the idea of like the cardboard box, this we're kind of representing like the mind in some ways, right? It's like it's taped
Yep,
shut.
and I have a literal cardboard box.
Uh-huh. Right. And this idea of I can find this tangle of hard questions when I need it, and that the thing that has a place in a name can be found again, and that's a could be a positive, that could be an optimistic thing, but it could also be like, shoot, it's there when I don't want it to
Exactly.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remembering is a way of being ready for next time. There's so many good lines. And like I said, the all to really to finish with this, give me a bucket to catch the flow. There's the expression is what, a place for everything and everything in its place. My
Hmm.
grandpa used to always say that. Right. Right.
Yeah, a person with OCD could really go to town with that
Hmm.
that phrase.
I bet. And yeah, just the idea, like, I love the verb. The line is, I revisit the prayers, apologies, repeated like a leaky faucet. I love that verb of revisit. That again, what a beautiful thing to be able to revisit, like revisit a dream, like a great dream you had, or revisit a great memory, but also to revisit maybe the apology, maybe that right wasn't the person might not have thought was the best she could have done, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, well, even more so, it's kind of, I guess the word would be like reflexive. I think of
Mm,
apologies that I offer not being good enough. And that's something
okay.
that I have obsessed about as a child and something that comes up in my book, I think a
Exactly.
lot.
Right.
Just, making the apology perfect. And,
Mm,
you know, did I say the right words? Did I say it in a way that is believable?
hmm.
If I said it this way, would they really have known that I'm sorry for the thing that to me seems really, really bad?
Yeah, yeah,
And to
yeah.
the other person is barely an offense at all.
Huh.
And that's a common, so with OCD, there's, if I can just explain it for
Sure.
a quick second. So the, um, you have a thought and the thought is scary. You react to it like it's scary.
Hmm.
Whether it's rational or not, or very likely to occur, your body reacts with fear. So you perform a compulsion to try to relieve the fear.
Uh-huh.
And with the one that everybody knows, the hand washing,
Okay.
you get a thought, my hands are dirty. You wash them. So the washing is the compulsion. The obsession is my hands are dirty. So it can become addictive to wash
Uh-huh.
to try to relieve the fear,
Yeah.
and the fear pops back up again, and you wash again. So that's where the repetitive behavior comes in.
Mm.
With me, my OCD is mostly internal. So my obsessions and compulsions are checking mentally. With the stove compulsion, like is the stove on? That's checking. You keep checking to make sure that it's really off. A person can check internally by replaying a conversation to
Hmm.
check and see if I've sounded mean or did I sound bad or whatever.
Right.
Um, you can also check externally by apologizing. So the
Yes.
compulsion in the apology situation in the poem and in the book is the repeated apology to try to get it um, just right, to get the uncomfortable feeling to go away.
That's the best way I've heard the O and the C connected there.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The line is, I strive for actual organization, but what I really want is tidy thoughts. What exactly would you mean by tidy thoughts?
Heidi, like, this thought means this thing, this other thought means this, and there's no possibility that it
Okay.
doesn't mean that, and there's nothing in between. Like you've
Okay.
got this thought over here, this thought over here. Um, black and white thinking, good and bad in different
Yeah. They're
places.
distinct. They're explicit meanings.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sometimes I Google you is from Anti-Heroin Chic, I believe.
Hmm.
Okay, which is a really cool title for a magazine.
Yeah. A little arresting. I sometimes find myself telling
Yeah.
people like, not it's not bad.
Right. Anti.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, it's up to you if you wanted to intro it, preview it, or just go right into it.
Um, could you just do you still have it? Because
I
I'm not
do.
sure if I have two pages or one. Could you pop it up for me?
Definitely, I will do that.
I can't remember where it ends exactly.
I
So
gotcha.
I'll just talk about it. This one is about an OCD treatment experience that I had. I've gone to treatment programs called intensive outpatient programs.
Hmm.
So you go and you get therapy for 3 hours a day, 3 days a week. Um, and it's group therapy, it's individual therapy, it's exposures, meaning like you, with the help of a therapist, introduce the fear to
Uh-huh.
life. And, for the purposes of, I guess, dampening the fear response. So, we did that there. And this is just about some of the people that I met there, and not specifics about them, but feelings I had about them, feelings
Mm,
of community
mm.
and being understood by them in ways that other people without OCD
Sure.
can't ever really understand.
Sure, sure, sure.
Just about the amazing sense of connection to people there. So sometimes I Google you. There are names I know, like a stairwell knows an echo. Poems I can't write. An echo in a stairwell is a poem. Footsteps on pavement. Footsteps on pavement like fingers on a keyboard. I search a name. In keying the letters, you and your name are real again. In an instant, your name becomes a prayer. Let me find nothing.
Mm,
Google speaks no evil. Internet silence. Shh, can you hear it? In silence we climbed. Do you remember? I'm at the top now. We stormed that brutalist column. You have to see it up here now. There's so much open air. Up here is the rest of ever. In open air I'm steady. Sounds of traffic below, day and night. But steady is temporary, I know. It changes in a day and a night. So listen, just for now, listen.
mm.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I guess it's first person and it's second person. I wonder who like kind of like the well, it's like the first person plural times we. Like I kind of wonder
hmm
like do you feel like you're speaking directly to these folks that you spent that time with?
Um, yeah, I guess I'm speaking to the memory of
Mm.
the time. Um, I certainly wouldn't want to go back there to
Right,
that
right,
point in my
right.
life.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know, it's beautiful the way that I don't know, it's just beautiful the way we related to each other.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
yeah.
The there's I've heard like different like two word phrases like oh that's the two most beautiful words in the English language or whatever. I love that. I love the just the so the line is I think in silence we climbed. Do you remember? The combination of do you remember is just so evocative and vivid, you know? It's
Thank
just like
you.
it's just like echoing. Do you remember? It just entails so much, I feel like.
And I did that program twice.
Hmm.
And I didn't the same people weren't there, but the same therapists were there.
Hmm.
So I'm speaking to them too.
Hmm.
So just
I see.
the ways that I had changed from one time to the next, and the things that were similar in a frustrating way,
Hmm.
because I don't know, when you're at the very bottom of uh, and when you're feeling your absolute worst
Hmm.
and you felt that way before, it's so frustrating to have been there already and feel
Hmm.
like you didn't get what you should have gotten out of it,
Okay.
or you didn't learn the lesson that you should have learned. That's not a healthy
Mm.
way of thinking about OCD, because it's not like, you were supposed to know. You shouldn't have let
Mm. Hmm.
this depression come on again. It's not like that. But you can feel that way about yourself and talk to yourself that way.
But there's also that opposite that beauty, right? About I'm at the top, this idea of the climbing and like, but
hmm
also like inviting other people up here, right? Like you got to check this out. You have to see it up here now. So
Yes,
much open
yes.
air, and then just
And
that.
to leave before
Ah,
others left, because it's a rolling admission and rolling
okay,
like
sure.
um graduation. It's not really the
Uh,
right word, but yeah.
yeah, and the idea of yeah, just listening, and I love how it's so calm and quiet and tranquil at the very end. Steady is temporary. I know it changes in a day and a night. So listen, just for now, listen. Man, so oh, such a beautiful, I guess, tribute to the people there, to the
Thanks.
time. You also write some haikus.
I do.
Yeah. Days and days in bed. I didn't notice that I'm wearing a necklace, and I should have had you read it because I'm not good at reading. The haiku. So remind me about, I'm going basic here. Remind me of haiku. How many like syllables and what do you got to do?
So don't think about it that way.
Okay. Okay.
So I really like the way Tim Green from Rattle Poetry
Hmm.
calls it. What is it? One thought in two breaths, I think.
Ooh.
Something like that.
Ooh. Okay.
Um, Counting syllables is helpful
Yeah.
to I guess from a structure standpoint, but it's not a hard and fast rule.
Sure.
And if you're thinking of syllables over thinking of
Hmm.
oh no, I said it wrong. It's two thoughts in one breath. That's what it is.
Two thoughts in one breath. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're not thinking two thoughts in one breath and you're thinking about syllables, you're not doing it right.
Okay. That's a good key. That opens the door there. Um,
Yeah.
days and days in bed. I didn't notice that I'm wearing a necklace.
So yeah, thinking the thoughts are connected, but they
Hmm.
don't really need each other.
They don't need each other. Yeah. Is that a is that supposed to leave the reader with a positive, a negative? Neither. It's not
I think it
necessarily
depends. I think it
prescriptive.
depends
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
haiku.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Here's a possibly Dutch word, the expressway, the Schuylkill.
Yeah, Schuylkill. I don't know
School,
where
school.
that comes from, but that's the
Okay.
name of this
Yeah.
terrible highway that heads into Philly.
I will pray before the Schuylkill Expressway and its last four letters, which of course are Kill. Is that
Yeah.
pretty dark?
I guess so. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you